After 19 years, the XFL is back. And in 5 minutes, I'm going to give you a brief overview of the entire league, some of the players, and some of the new rules. But before we get into it, remember to subscribe. And here is the XFL in 5 minutes. After 19 years, Vince McMahon, the owner of the WWE, is bringing back the XFL. First iteration of the league relied heavily on its connection to the WWE and actually incorporated a lot of those same entertainment aspects into the league. This time, the XFL is launching without those ties, but with a couple of rule changes that should help the game keep up the faster pace of play and allow it to last more than one season. Arguably, the biggest change to the rules happens on the kickoff. The kicker will line up at his own 30-yard line while the rest of his team lines up at the receiving team's 35. The receiving team lines up at their own 30-yard line, and no one can move until the kick returner touches the ball. The XFL is implementing this rule in order to hopefully keep players safer on kickoff, but allow for more actual returns instead of just touchbacks. Another major change comes after a touchdown. Instead of just being able to simply kick an extra point, the offense is given the choice to go for 1, 2, or 3 points, which start from the 2, 5, and 10-yard line respectively. Now, because it's the XFL, they had to implement some kind of rule that just seems out there. This time, it's the double forward pass. Now, teams will be allowed to throw a second forward pass as long as the first pass is completed behind the line of scrimmage, and of course, the player who receives the first pass has to also be behind the line of scrimmage. Other rule changes include 25-second play clock, no coaches challenges, 10-minute half times, and more that just will hopefully keep the game moving a bit faster. As far as the teams go, the XFL has divided itself into two 4-team divisions, the East and the West. In the East are the DC Defenders, New York Guardians, St. Louis Battlehawks, and Tampa Bay Vipers. In the West, you got the Dallas Renegades, Houston Roughnecks, Los Angeles Wildcats, and the Seattle Dragons. Some of the notable head coaches are former Oklahoma Sooners head coach Bob Stoops, former Washington Redskins head coach Jim Zorn, and former Atlanta Falcons head coach and interim head coach for the San Diego Chargers, June Jones. The XFL held its draft last October, and of course, it was a bit unique. The XFL started by having each team's manager/coach submit a list of their preferred quarterbacks. The league then assigned one quarterback to each team based on those lists. The rest of the draft was broken into 5 phases, with each of the phases, except for the last one, having 10 rounds each. Each phase focused on a certain position on the field. Phase 1 covered the offensive skill positions, Phase 2 was for offensive linemen, Phase 3 covered the defensive front 7, Phase 4 was for defensive backs, and Phase 5, the final phase, was an open draft which covered any positions, including the punter and kicker. You're going to recognize a lot of familiar names, both from the college football ranks and ex-NFL players. As far as the quarterbacks go, you're probably going to remember Oklahoma standout Landry Jones, Ohio State standout Cardell Jones, and Penn State quarterback Matt McGloin. AAF fans will remember standout quarterback Luis Perez and highly effective wide receiver Rashad Ross, who, during the AAF, actually had the highest grade for a wide receiver from Pro Football Focus. Other ex-NFL players include former Seattle Seahawks running back Christine Michael, former first-round draft pick by the Baltimore Ravens, safety Matt Elam, Coney Ely, who played defensive end for Carolina the last time we went to the Super Bowl, standout quarterback for Army, who converted to wide receiver to play in the NFL, Keenan Reynolds, and former punter for the Oakland Raiders, Marquette King. This is only a handful of the ex-NFL, AAF, and college football players that you're going to see on every single XFL roster in the league. All said and done, I'm really excited to see what kind of product the XFL puts on the field, and I'm hoping this one sticks around a little longer than the original XFL, the AAF, or some of the other football leagues we've seen. Alright everyone, thanks for listening. Remember to subscribe, and this has been the XFL in under 5 minutes.